Again, Ma'am Mariel, and welcome to my channel. So for this video, we're going to discuss all about graphing a parabola in vertex form and finding the focus directrix of a parabola. So bago natin simulan, huwag niyo munang kalimutan mag-subscribe and i-like niyo na rin yung video na to. And of course, huwag niyo kalimutan i-turn on yung notification bell para lagi kayong updated sa mga bago kong math tutorials. Okay? So take a look at this. Meron tayong dalawang equations dito. We have x minus h squared is equal to 4p times y minus k. And of course, we have y minus k squared is equal to 4p and x minus h. So, pag-usapan natin yung differences and yung pagkakatulad nila. In regards with this equation, meron tayong tinatawag na vertex. Okay? So, what do you mean by a vertex? When we say vertex, it is the point where the axis of symmetry crosses the parabola. So, yung pinakadulo ng ating parabola, yun po ang tinatawag na vertex, and later on, mas maiintindihan natin kung ano ba talaga yun. Okay. In this equation, pag kukunin natin yung vertex, automatically it's h and k. H and k. So, yun yung ating vertex. Yun yung pagkakatulad nila, okay? So, by now, what do you mean by a focus? Take a look at this. We have the formula for focus, h and k plus p. And dito naman sa kabila, h plus p and k. When we say focus, it is a fixed point on the interior of the parabola that is used for the formal definition of the curve. So, when we say focus, katapat din siya ni vertex, pero doon nakafocus yung ating parabola. And always remember, nasa interior siya ng ating parabola. Okay, so yun yung ating focus. And ituturo ko sa inyo mamaya kung paano kukuhain si focus without even using this parang pinaka-formula natin. Kukunin natin siya mamaya nang hindi ginagamit ito. Pero syempre, i-check pa din natin siya using this. Okay, next is the directrix. Ayan. So, ang formula ng ating directrix is y is equal to k minus p and x is equal to h minus p. So, ituturo ko din sa inyo mamaya kung paano makukuha si directrix without even memorizing this formula. Okay? So, what do you mean by a directrix? So, yung directrix naman natin, ito yung fixed straight line. Okay? Next is the latus rectum. Take a look at that. We have 4p and 4p for a latus rectum. So, what do you mean by a latus rectum? It is the chord through a focus parallel to the directrix. So, later on, i-discuss natin yan using this Cartesian coordinate plane. So, in graphing a parabola, dapat i-consider din natin yung parts ni Cartesian coordinate plane. Dapat alam natin kung ano ba siya. So, take a look at this. We have two lines in here. Itong line na to, horizontal, always remember that it is the x coordinate. Okay? While ito namang vertical line, siya naman si y coordinate. Okay? And of course, alam naman natin na pinakagitna dito is the origin or yung 0, 0. Okay? While itong line na to, it composed of positive and negative numbers. So, sa pababa is negative and sa pataas naman is positive. While, dito naman kay x, kay left naman si negative and kay right naman si positive. So, take a look at these conditions. We have, if p is positive, it opens upward. Yung parabola daw natin opens upward. Ito siya, dito natin siya ibabase. Kung positive to, yung parabola natin opens upward. Sabihin na natin our vertex is 0, 0. Kapag si x yung may squared, dito lang tayo mamimili sa dalawa, upward and downward. Okay? While kapag naman si y yung may squared sa equation, dito naman tayo mamimili kung yung parabola ba natin is right or left. Okay? So, kapag positive si p, ang parabola natin is opens upward. So, yung pinaka-vertex na ginamit natin is 0, 0. Ayan. Negative opens downward. Okay? Pag ganito naman siya. Okay. And kapag positive si P, it opens right. So, saan ba yung right? Ito, para siyang letter C. 0, 0 yung vertex na ginamit natin, ha. Ayan. So, kapag naman negative si P, automatic it opens left. Yung vertex natin, alam naman na natin, siya na yung pinaka-fixed point, okay? While our focus is, sabi kanina, nasa interior daw siya ni parabola. Meaning to say, nandito siya, no? Si focus natin. Okay. While si directrix naman, sabi di ba kanina, si directrix daw is a fixed straight line. So, si directrix, makikita nyo siya sa likod ni vertex. So, dito, yung pinaka-point niya. And, of course, meron dyang line, which is the directrix. Next is the Latus Rectum. Siya yung, sabi kanina, di ba? It is the chord through a focus. Is a line, okay? Line, ayan. That is parallel to the directrix. Take a look at this. Our Latus Rectum is here, while our directrix is here. So, are they parallel? Yes, they are. 2p lang siya, no? Yung measurement niya. 2p. Okay, so take a look at our first example in graphing a parabola. So what are we going to do first is to look at the first variable or aling bang variable yung merong squared, okay? So in this case, we have x squared is equal to 12y. Si x yung merong square. Meaning to say, our parabola opens upward or downward, okay? So in able for us to know if it is open upward or downward, kailangan muna nating isolve first si P. Okay? And since our 4P in here will be 12, so ganito lang yung gagawin natin. 4P is equal to 12. Remember to always dapat alam natin yung pinaka-equation ng ating parabola. Okay? Yung ibinigay ko sa inyo, which is x minus h squared is equal to 4P and y minus k. What are we going to do is to solve for P. So we have to eliminate 4. So divide both sides by 4. And cancel. So P is equal to 12 divided by 4 is 3. Okay. Since si 3 ay positive, therefore, our parabola opens upward. Okay? Dahil positive si P, opens upward ang parabola natin. So, meaning to say, pag ganun siya, di ba? Okay. Next thing to do is to find the vertex. Take a look at the equation. Meron bang h, k dyan? Since yung vertex natin, it represents as h and k. Di ba? Wala. Meaning to say, our vertex will be 0, 0. Since wala yung ating h and k dyan. So, 0, 0 lang yung magiging vertex natin. Okay, so what are we going to do is ready na tayo sa ating parabola, okay? Nahanap na natin si P and si vertex. And sabi ko nga kanina, 'di ba? Ituturo ko sa inyo kung paano i-graph si parabola, hanapin si vertex, si focus and directrix without even memorizing the formula of those. Okay? So our vertex is 0, 0, meaning to say ito siya. Nandito yung vertex natin. So, we have 0, 0 as our vertex. Okay. Since si P ay nakuha na natin and our parabola opens upward, meaning to say, yung focus natin ay nasaan? Opens upward daw si parabola. Since ito na siya, paganto na siya, di ba? Ayan. And sabi, di ba, yung focus natin is always in the interior of the parabola. Meaning to say, nandito yung focus natin. How are we going to find our focus? Take a look at this P. Diba, Trisha? We are going to move 3 units upward in able for us to find the focus. So, from the vertex, move tayo ng 3 units upward. Okay? 1, 2, 3. And here it is. Ito na yung focus natin. So, we have 0 and positive 3. So, later on, we're going to check it if tama ba yung nakuha natin. Okay, next is the directrix. So, ang directrix is a fixed straight line that is equidistant with the focus. Okay? So, from the vertex, since pag ganito yung ating parabola, and si Directrix ay always nasa likod ni Vertex, magmumove naman tayo ng 3 units downward. So, we have 1, 2, 3. Okay? So, ang ating Directrix is negative 3 or 0 and negative 3. So, meaning to say, ito na yung ating Directrix. Ayan. Next thing to do is Latus Rectum. Di ba yung Latus Rectum is yung measurement niya dito kay focus, and it is parallel kay Directrix. So, what are we going to do in able for us to get the Latus Rectum? Di ba ang formula ng Latus Rectum natin is 4p, and since our 4p is 12, and ang pinaka-representation niya is 2p both, i-divide natin siya by 2 kasi we have 2 sides in here. Latus Rectum is 4p, and our 4p is equal to 12, okay? Then, divide it by 2. The answer is 6. Okay, so tig 6 sila. Kakount tayo ng 6 units to the right and left from the focus. So, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nandito siya. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? And the next is, dito naman, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ayan siya. Yan. Parallel siya kay Directrix. Okay, now, what are we going to do is to graph our parabola. So, we have here, and that's it. Makakapag-graph na kayo ng parabola as easy as that. Okay, next is, try naman natin ilagay siya sa formula natin mismo. If tama ba yung coordinates na nakuha natin. So, the formula for our focus is h and k plus p. Remember, our vertex is h and k. So, our h is 0, and our k is 0 again, plus our p is 3. Alright. Therefore, our focus is 0, and 0 plus 3 is 3. So, take a look at this. 0 and 3. Tama ba yung nakuha natin? Alright. What about the formula for the Directrix? We have Directrix is y equal to k minus p, and our k is 0 minus our p is 3 equal to negative 3. And that's it. Our Directrix is in negative 3. Tama? Next naman is identify natin kung alin ba si axis of symmetry. When we say axis of symmetry, it is a straight line that passes through the turning point, and that turning point is the vertex of the parabola. So, si axis of symmetry, siya yung nagdi-divide sa parabola into 2 congruent parts. Take a look at this parabola. Alin ba yung nag-divide sa kanya into 2 congruent parts? Itong line na to. So, that is what we call the axis of symmetry. Next naman is kuhain natin si endpoint ng ating Latus Rectum. So, we have endpoint 1. So, negative 6. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And this is negative and positive 3. Since ito, naka-focus siya. The next endpoint, ito yan. Itong pinaka-endpoint natin na isa, or endpoint 2 is positive 6 and positive 3. Since ang representation nito ay positive and positive. So, ganun lang kasimple. Okay, so take a look at our next example. We have x squared is equal to negative 8 times y minus 3. Okay, so the first thing to do is to get the vertex and identify if aling bang variable yung naka-squared. Since si x yung naka-squared, meaning to say our parabola opens upward or downward. Okay? And enable for us to know if it is opens upward or downward, kailangan nating hanapin si P. Our 4P is negative 8. We're going to find P. So, divide both sides by 4 since kailangan nating i-eliminate si 4. Then, P is equal to negative 8 divided by 4 is equal to negative 2. Since our P is negative, therefore, our parabola opens downward. Okay, so what is our vertex? So, we have, since si x squared, we're going to represent as x is equal to 0. Since wala siyang h dito. And, of course, si negative 3, siya yung ating k. So, y minus 3, equate natin to 0. Y minus 3 is equal to 0. Therefore, y is positive 3. Okay? So, positive 3 is our vertex. Remember, kapag ganito yung equation, lagi lang i-change yung sign kasi i-equate pa natin siya to 0. So, 0 and 3 is our vertex since walang kasama si x dito. So, ayun. Next thing to do is to find the measurement of the latus rectum. Since our latus rectum is negative 8, so 8 lang siya. Remember, yung negative natin is representation lang siya kung ang magiging parabola natin is opens downward, upward, left, or right, okay? So, pwede nang hindi siya isama dito kay latus rectum kasi same lang din naman siya ng bilang. So, yung pinakabilang lang yung kukuhain natin. So, si 8. And since 2p yung representation niya dito, i-divide natin siya by 2. Therefore, our latus rectum, kapag dinivide sa 2, ay tig-4. Okay, now, we are ready to graph our parabola. So, our vertex is 0. And positive 3. Since ang nire-represent niya sa Cartesian coordinate plane is x and y, and dito sa ating pinaka-equation is h and k, okay? Therefore, since ang x natin is 0, 1, 2, 3. So, ito na yung pinaka-vertex natin, 0 and positive 3. So, next thing to do is to get the focus. Since ang ating parabola opens downward, pag ganito, meaning to say, our focus is nandito sa pababa. And since it is negative 2, pababa siya yung unit niya. So, we have 1 and 2. Remember, kay P, ma-identify na natin kung alin si focus and kung alin si directrix. Basta ito lang yung hanapin natin, no? Hindi na natin kailangan ng formula. Pero, i-check pa din natin kung tama. So, 2 units pababa, 1, 2. So, ito na yung ating focus, okay? And of course, our directrix is, dito din natin siya ma-identify. Nasa labas naman siya ni parabola, and since our parabola is downward, meaning to say, nandito si directrix. So, 2 units again, 1, 2. And this is our directrix already. Kailangan muna nating hanapin si latus rectum in able for us to draw it. So, our latus rectum is 8. So, wag kayong malito ha. Yung pinaka-measurement ng ating latus rectum ay 8. Kaya lang natin siya dinidivide by 2. Enable for us to know the length of the latus rectum from the focus. No? So, 4 dito, 4 dito sa kabila. And it is equal to 8. Wag kayong malilito ha. Yung 8 talaga yung pinaka-measurement niya. So, alin ba yung ating focus? Ito yung focus natin. So, mag-count lang tayo ng 4 units. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, nandito yung ating endpoint ni latus rectum. And 1, 2, 3, 4. So, nandito yung endpoint ni latus rectum. And it is equal to 8. Now, ready na tayong i-graph si parabola. Downward. Graph nyo lang. Yan. Pwede nyong i-extend. Alright. So, ito yung ating latus rectum. Ayan. And ang representation niya, remember, is always 2p. Kaya natin dinivide si 8 into 2. Right? And our directrix is ito. Remember, ang directrix natin is palaging nasa labas ni parabola while our focus is palaging nasa loob ni parabola. Ang tawag naman dito sa distance nito is the focal length. Ito ang ating latus rectum. And remember our axis of symmetry, yung nagdi-divide kay parabola into two equal parts. Okay? So, itong line na to, yung tinatawag natin na axis of symmetry. So, lagay na lang natin yung coordinates nila. So, our vertex is 0 and 3. And our focus is 0 and 1 since from the origin, nagbilang tayo ng 1, 0 and 1. Our directrix is from the origin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, our directrix is 0 and 5. Next is our endpoints. So, we have endpoint 1 and endpoint 2. Our endpoint 1, negative 4 and 1. Our endpoint 2 is positive 4. Diba? From the origin 1, 2, 3, 4. And our focus is 1. Again, our axis of symmetry is ito. Bakit? It divides our parabola into two equal parts or origin. Again, let's check it from the formula. So, we have focus is h and k plus p. So, we have 0 and our k is 3. So, we have 3 plus negative 2 since our p is negative 2. So, 0 and 3 plus negative 2 is positive 1. So, tama yung ating focus. Okay? Next, let us see if tama ba tayo sa directrix. We have our directrix. Y is equal to k minus p since our k is 3 and our p is negative 2. So, 3 minus negative 2 is equal to positive 5. Tingnan natin. So, tama ba? 0 and positive 5. So, tama ang ating directrix. So, yon, part 2 is on the next video. Thank you so much everyone for watching. I hope you have learned something from this tutorial. And of course, huwag nyo kalimutang mag-subscribe. Thank you so much and God bless everyone.